All right. Okay, friends, we're going to get started. Before we do, let's remember our growth mindset phrase for the week. I control the choices I make. Say it with me. I control the choices I make. So as you're participating in today's lesson, we're trying to show responsibility. You control how responsible you are. Can I get a thumbs up? Thumbs up. All right. Have a seat, friend. Thank you. All right. We've been learning about several fairy tales and tall tales, and today is the very last in our unit. Today we're going to talk about a person named Casey Jones. Can you say that with me? Casey Jones. All right. Just looking at the picture here, any thoughts? What's this going to be about? Tatum?
A girl probably making train tracks.
A girl making train tracks? Yeah.
Probably someone who is building trains or is a conductor.
Someone building trains, or maybe they're a conductor. Akbar, what's a conductor?
A conductor is the leader of a train. He drives it.
The leader or the driver of a train. He or she? Great. Love it. I'm hearing somebody making some singing noises. If we could turn that off, that'd be awesome. All right, let's get started. So today, my target for you is I can identify the characteristics of a tall tale. How do we know when something is a tall tale? That's what we're trying to do today. So heads together with your team, level 1. What are we doing today?
We're going to learn about Casey Jones and we're going to learn what she does. Yeah, we're going to learn
What kind of story is this?
about Casey Jones.
And is it a fairy tale? Is it a tall tale?
Tall tale.
Okay, how will we know if it's a tall tale?
By seeing it and listening.
3 feet on the floor, 2 voices off, and 1. Number 3, stand up, please. Solve that problem if you're missing your number 3. All right, we're going to start with, I'll wait. We'll start with Keandre. What did your team talk about? What are we doing today?
Once upon a time in tall tales started with people who were like really big.
Okay. So he said we're going to read another story. This one's a tall tale, and he knows that fairy tales start with once upon a time, but tall tales have people in them that have special things about them. London? Okay, connection. Genevieve?
We're going to learn about this because it might be a tall tale, and we're going to learn about Casey Jones, and we're going to see and look and hear and use our brain so we could see the screen so we could know about Casey Jones.
All right. Thank you for sharing. And Tatum?
We're identifying the characteristics of a tall tale.
Identifying the characteristics of a tall tale. Thank you so much. Can we get an oh yeah for those that shared? Oh yeah. All right. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put that up. Okay, now we're going to talk about the why. Why do we need to be able to identify if something's a tall tale? Why do we need to know if it's a tall tale and how it's a tall tale? Level 1, heads together. You don't know why we need to know about this?
I do.
Okay, what do you think?
I think
Okay, tell your team. Why do we need to learn about tall tales? What do you think?
you don't actually need to learn about it.
Just to learn about it?
I just think it's not real. Just to see if it's not real.
Oh, to see if something's real or not? Okay, I love that. Would you share that out loud with the class?
Maybe.
Okay, so when I call us done, you can stand up if you want to share. All right, 3 feet on the floor, 2 voices off, and number 1, stand up. Ooh, very excited to share, I see. Solve that problem if you don't have a number 1. I'm waiting.
She's waiting.
All right, Mita, what did your team talk about? Why do we need to learn about the characteristics of a tall tale? Cobalt team, solve that problem. Mita, do you need a heads back together? Okay, whisper voices. Sophia, in the meantime, what did your team talk about?
We talked because we need to know what a tall tale is.
To know what a tall tale is? Okay, thank you for sharing. Go ahead and have a seat. Grace?
So we can learn about Casey Jones and
So we can specifically learn about Casey Jones. All right, Akbar? Oh, Akbar, let's just wait a second. There's a lot of side conversation. Go ahead.
Why that one or that one?
Why are we talking about tall tales?
So that way we can to figure out all the things that's in there.
Okay, to figure out all the things that are in a tall tale? All right. Let's see. Any other teams ready to share?
No.
Oh, Britton is. Britton.
Did you see this one now?
Ooh, to be able to tell if the story is real or not. Good one. All right. Yes, Siddhartha?
I forgot.
All right. Mint team, did we want to share? All right, we're going to pass this time. That's all right. My why for you is that identifying the elements of a tall tale within a story will help us remember and understand the story better. We read in our knowledge lessons to gain knowledge, to build that foundation, to learn about things. So being able to identify whether something's a tall tale helps us to remember things better. Do you have a question for me?
What about us leaking from someone?
That's not something we need to talk about now. You need to put it up by your name tag and leave it alone. All right. Friends at the lavender team. Can I move on? Hands to your sides. You don't need to be playing with your hair right now. Focus. Focus. All right. We're going to move on to our cognitive content dictionary. Say that with me. Cognitive content dictionary. All right, our word is purpose. Purpose, reason why, purpose. All right, heads together. What's the meaning of the word purpose? Heads together. What does the word purpose mean? What do you think the word purpose means?
Purpose means like why do you have to help or
Oh wait, what did Matab say?
it means there's a reason why to do this.
A reason why you have to do something? Okay.
I was thinking.
Do you see Alice doing the connection? She agrees with you.
I thought it was like, do you need some help or what do you need? Or can I go please?
Okay. All right. What do you think the word purpose means? What does purpose mean? All right. Let's listen to our classmates. All right. 3 feet on the floor. 2 voices off. And 1. Let's go with number 4s. All right. Let's go quickly. I'm going to take your ideas and then I'm going to squish them together. Zoe. Oh, I can't hear because people are making noises. Okay, Zoe, try it again. Okay, we'll come back to Zoe. Siddhartha?
It's the reason why somebody did that.
It's a reason why somebody did that, Alani. Do you need the heads back together? Level 1. That's after Grace comes back, you can go. Go ahead, Grace. Yes. Oh, Ryan's sharing right now. We're listening. What does purpose mean, Ryan?
Purpose means they have graduation.
They have what? Sorry.
Graduation.
Oh, you're saying the word exaggeration. That kind of goes with tall tales. Okay. Sophia?
When you say walk with purpose.
Ooh, you hear me say walk with purpose in the hallway, right? I'm asking you to get somewhere quickly. I might say walk with purpose. Agree with Siddhartha? Blake? You want me to have you heads together again? Okay, go ahead, quickly. All right, bring it back. Focus your body. You're sitting up tall. We're not playing with our desks. Thank you. We shouldn't have any supplies out right now. If your neighbor is struggling, give them a little tap. Supplies should be put away. All right, Blake, did your team give you any ideas? It's when you what, sorry? Oh, her example is like when you trip somebody and then you're like blaming it on someone but you did it on purpose. Okay. All right, taking everything we shared out, I'm gonna write here for us that purpose means the reason behind doing something. Ready to rock? Who can use the word purpose in a sentence for me? Ezra, nice and loud.
Something you need to do. Where?
We'll come back. If you think about it, let us know. Genevieve?
You tripped me over on purpose.
Okay, yep, that's using the word correctly.
He did that on purpose.
All right.
Why did you do that on purpose?
Okay.
You hit me on purpose.
Oh my goodness, a lot of stuff to do with hitting and things. Hopefully that's not happening too much, but we did share the sentence, so thank you for doing that. All right, I'm going to teach you a new word today. Our new word today is compare. Can you say compare?
Compare.
All right. Let's see. Read this with me. Compare. Whisper it to the ceiling.
Compare.
Growl it to your stomach. Compare. All right. Raise your hand if you have heard or seen this word before. Heard or seen the word compare before. Hands up high if you've heard or seen it. All right, I see 12. If we have 20 friends in our class and only 12 of us have heard or seen it, how many of us have not heard or seen it? Say it if you know it. 8. Good math. All right, heads together. What do you think the word compare means? Heads together, what do you think the word compare means? Okay, tell them more. Talk more. What do you think? What does compare mean? What do you think the word compare means? What do you think the word compare means?
I don't know.
Have you heard it before?
No.
No? What does it sound like? Compare. Does anything sound familiar?
Don't compare which one's better.
Oh, comparing to see which one's better. Okay, I love it. If you're ready, when we share out, you can stand up. Alrighty.
No.
3 feet on the floor. 2 voices off. And 1. If you are number 3 at your table, please stand up. You will get your day in the sun. All right. Prediction. Predictions for the word compare. Keandre, what did your team talk about? So, seeing which is taller. And why do you think that? Okay. From before you've compared tallness. All right. London, what did your team talk about?
If something's broken, then you can compare it.
Okay. And why do you think that? Does it sound like something you've heard before? Okay. Siddhartha, what did your team talk about?
Like size comparison.
Size comparison.
I've heard it before.
You've heard it. Awesome. I'll wait.
No worries.
Genevieve.
We thought about like 3 people or like a team when you work together.
Working together, and what made you think that?
If we worked together, we would like get more like compared to each other.
Okay. And have you heard it used before? You've heard it before? All right. And last team, Crimson, what did you talk about?
We talk about that the compare means to get to the same things and compare it.
Okay.
Like,
So looking at 2 things. Okay. All right. And have you heard this before? All right. Thank you for sharing out. Awesome. Can we get an oh yeah for everybody that shared? Oh yeah. Save your question, please. All right. Now, the word compare. I'll wait. The word compare has to do with looking at a couple of different things and seeing how they're similar and different. Okay? So when I say compare, you're going to say compare. Same, different. Compare. All right? Let's try that all together. Compare. Compare. Same, different. Compare. One more time. Not everybody was with me. When I say compare, then you say compare. Same, different. Compare. All right, let's try it. 1, 2. Compare.
Compare. Same, different. Compare.
Nice job. All right, we're going to use that word all throughout the day today. All right, we have a couple of other vocabulary words that I want to prep you on before we get started with our story. And that is these here. The first one is mounted. Britton, quickly and have a seat. Quickly and have a seat. Right now we're not using any supplies. All right, mounted means the cowboy mounted his horse. Okay, so I want you to imagine riding a horse and make galloping arms. Mounted. Everybody together? Mounted. Good. Bring it back. Every time you talk, I'll wait. every time you talk in between every little thing, it makes it difficult to get to the lesson. And I want to be able to read the whole story to you today. The next word is legendary. Legendary means that somebody is well known or famous, like having to do with a legend or a story. All right? For legendary, I want you to stand tall like this. Legendary. All right, have a seat. Passengers. Passengers are people traveling from one place to another in a car, bus, or train. So I want you to make chugga-chugga motion. Like imagine like you're in a train. Chugga-chugga, chugga-chugga. Can you say passengers? Passengers. All right. And our last word today is pride. Say pride. Pride. Whisper it to the ceiling. Pride. Say it to the floor. Pride. Pride is a feeling of respect that you have for yourself. Pride. Okay? For example, the musicians took great pride in their performance. They felt like they did a good job. Okay? So for pride, I want you to look up with a smiling face. Say it with me. Pride. Awesome. All right, those are our vocabulary words. Now, before we get started on reading this tall tale, we're going to talk about the old tall tales and what a tall tale really is. So we're going to do a quick check for understanding. When I say a phrase, you're going to stand up if you think it is part of a tall tale. You're going to stay seated if you think it is not. So tall tale is up, seated if not. The first phrase is often set in the front tier. Yep, you should be standing right now. Tall tales are often set in a front tier setting. Are tall tales fiction? Yes, they are. Tall tales are fiction. They sometimes have a real person, but the stories and the things they do are a little bit exaggerated. Do tall tales often have a character from a royal family? No. If you think not, you're going to sit down. Tall tales do not usually have a person from a royal family. Are tall tales humorous? Yes, they are. Tall tales often have humor, like in Paul Bunyan when they skate with bacon. All right. Do tall tales often end with, and they lived happily ever after? No, usually they don't. And our last one, do tall tales include exaggeration? They sure do. You should be standing up. All right. Have a seat for me. Thank you. When you're ready to learn, you're seated with your eyes on me. Thank you, Ella, for setting such a nice example. She's looking right at me. She's not touching anything, and her voice is off. Great work. All right. Now, before we read about Casey Jones, let's learn or remember what we learned about our last three friends, Paul Bunyan, Pecos Bill, and John Henry. Okay. I'm going to say a phrase about what happened in the story, and you're going to say if it was John Henry, Paul Bunyan, or Pecos Bill. Okay, the first one. The main character in this tall tale... Stay with us, please. The main character in this tall tale was part of a team that built railroad tracks.
John Henry.
Good work there. The main character in this tall tale headed west with his family on a covered wagon, but he fell off. In this tall tale, two men greased a colossal pan by skating across it with slabs of bacon. All right, one more. Listening ears. The main character in this tall tale competed with a steam drill and won the contest.
John Henry.
Good job. Kiss your brain. You just had good skills there. And can I get an oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's explore a little bit about what we're going to see in this story. I have a map here. This is a map. I need you to be with us. Part of being with us is keeping your voice level down. All right, so this is a map. This is a map of the United States. And as you can see, many things are labeled here. In the 1800s, the frontier days when many of our tall tales took place, including Casey Jones, many Americans were traveling from the east coast of the United States to the west coast. As they traveled, they crossed the Appalachian Mountains and the Great Plains.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Tall tales are often set on the American frontier. These are formerly unsettled areas in the United States. Okay, so you can see here, this one here is labeled Kentucky. Kentucky is a state that was part of the American frontier. We're going to talk about that more in a second, but there were a lot of tunnels built, and after the tunnels were built, allowing lots of trains to go from the east to the west, trains became the primary mode of transportation. And people rode on trains to get pretty much everywhere. Trains were used to ship items from one part of the country to the other, and trains were becoming much faster than ever before. All right, today's tall tale is Casey Jones. Casey Jones is about a train engineer who drove a locomotive from Illinois Central Railroad more than 100 years ago. His name was really John Luther Jones, but he was from Casey, Kentucky, right where the star is. So he ended up getting the name
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones, but they just spelled it a little differently. Okay? He was well known for his bravery and determination. Is Casey Jones a real person?
No.
Yes. We just learned he's a real person. So let's get started on our story. We're going to read about Casey Jones. I want you to smell the soup, blow the soup, reach for the sky, wiggle to the right, wiggle to the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, the right, the left, and all right, smell the soup, blow the soup. Turn your body to face the screen so you can see all of the pictures. If your body's not facing the screen, you're not showing me that you're ready to learn. I'm waiting for 3 friends to be ready to learn. I'm waiting for 2 friends to be ready to learn. Turn your body to face the screen. Thank you. All right, here we go. When we read this story, what are we looking out for? What was the target today? The characteristics of a tall tale. And one of those is exaggeration. So we're looking for the exaggeration in this story. What are we looking for?
Exaggeration.
Oh, not everybody was with me. What are we looking for?
Exaggeration.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Now, gather around, friends, for I want to tell you a story. It's a story of a legendary engineer. If a legend is a well-known story, think about what it means to be legendary. His name was Casey Jones, and there's never been a man who could drive a train as fast or as well. People say that Casey Jones could drive a train before he could walk. And when he was a baby, he said choo-choo instead of goo-goo. Do you think a baby could really drive a train?
No.
This is an example of an
Exaggeration.
I'll wait.
Wait.
London, can you please close the door for us? There's just some movement in the hallway. Thanks so much. All right, when Casey was a young man growing up in Kentucky, the railroad was the fastest way to get around. Although this is a fictional tall tale, Casey Jones was a real person. So was he real?
Yes.
But the story is fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
This was the back. I'll wait.
Wait.
Can you have a seat, please? Thank you. Are you with us? Okay. Show me. This was back before the days of the airplanes or rocket ships. There were no cars, there were no trucks, there were only horse-drawn vehicles, like, the wagons, and the mighty iron horse, as it was called, the locomotive. Casey was an engineer for the Illinois Central Railroad. He loved to sit way up in the cabin of the train with one hand on the whistle and one hand on the brake. When the tracks were straight and clear, Casey would pull up on the throttle and the train would take off like a rocket ship, shooting into space. Go shoo, shoo. The throttle made the train go, and the brake made the train stop. When he came into the station, he would pull on the brake and bring the train to a sudden stop. Casey loved to watch the trees and fields go whizzing around as he zoomed through the countryside. He loved to make the train's whistle blow, and there was no other engineer who could blow the train whistle quite the way Casey did. Casey's whistle started out soft like a whippoorwill. A whippoorwill is a bird. And then it rose to a howl like a coyote, crying in the night, and finally it faded back to a whisper. People in the town always knew when Casey was coming, even before they could hear the train. Even before they could see the train, they could hear it. They'd hear the powerful chugga, 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 chugga getting louder and louder, and then they'd hear that wild whistle sound. Some said that Casey's whistle had magical powers. They said that when Casey blew his whistle, little babies would wake up from their naps, but they wouldn't cry. Instead, they would make sounds like chugga, chugga and woo, woo, and then fall back to sleep. When Casey blew his whistle, the cows would give an extra quart of milk. And then the chickens would lay a dozen eggs each. And as the story goes, if you cracked one of those eggs in a cold frying pan and put out a piece of plain bread, just as soon as Casey went flying by, in that pan would be a nicely fried egg over easy, and on the side, a plate of hot buttered toast. Do you think these things really happened?
No.
These are some examples of. Now, the reason Casey drove so fast was simple. He took great pride, remember? Pride in always being on time. Casey wanted to make sure that he got that train where it was going, when it was supposed to be there, no matter what. Whenever he started out on a run, the railroad men would wave and yell, "Bring her on in, Casey," and they knew he would. But Casey couldn't make the train go that fast with his good looks. No, Casey needed a good fireman to help him, and he had one of the best in Sim Webb. The firemen on a train didn't put out fires like the kind of firemen we normally talk about. The fireman's job was to keep the fire in the engine burning by shoveling coal into it. When the flames were roaring, that made a lot of steam, and that helped the train go fast. Remember, steam is hot air and water particles created when water gets really hot. No doubt about it, Sim Webb was a first-rate fireman. He could shovel coal faster than anyone on either side of the Mississippi. The faster Sim shoveled, the faster Casey could drive the train, and Sim Webb kept that fire good and hot. And Casey Jones got their trains in on time. Together, they were an unbeatable team. There was only one day that Casey and Sim almost didn't make it to the station on time. They were carrying a load of mail to Memphis, Tennessee. And it was raining like cats and dogs. Was it really raining like cats and dogs? No. Who can tell us what it means to be raining like cats and dogs? Grace?
Raining very hard.
Raining really hard, right? When cats and dogs are together, sometimes they fight, right? So imagine rain just pouring down like ch-ch-ch. All right. The rain had been falling for 5 or 6 weeks, and the railroad track was like a bed of a creek. Why does this sound different from the rest of our story? What was different about what I just said?
You said that it was.
The rain had been falling for 5 or 6 weeks, and the railroad track was like the bed of a creek.
Oh, it's raining.
It rhymes, right? Remember, this is an excerpt from a song about Casey Jones. Songs are often like poetry that rhyme. And when a poem is like a song, we call it a ballad. Can you say ballad? Ballad. Remember, we heard in our last story the ballad of John Henry. So this is part of the ballad of Casey Jones. At the station in Memphis, the railroad men waited for Casey to arrive. Some said there was no way to make it on time with all this rain. He'll have to slow down. But others said, just you wait, he'll make it. Casey Jones always makes it on time. And sure enough, just when they saw a light on the tracks up ahead and heard the lonesome whistle that could only be Casey Jones, the train pulled into the station, dripping wet and puffing hard. But right on time. Casey and Sim were dog tired. What does that mean?
Tired.
It means really, really, really tired.
Really tired. And more than ready for a good night's sleep. But they'd hardly settled into their beds when there was a knock at the door. Word came that the engineer who was supposed to drive the train on the southbound run was sick. Well, he's just settling in for bed, and now he's putting his shoes back on because they didn't even have to ask Casey if he would take the man's place. Tired as he was, Casey got dressed and headed for the station. And when he got there, he found Sim Webb already stoking the fire with coal, getting the train ready to carry the mail, packages of freight, and passengers as well. Now, friends, here's what I have to tell you is the sad part of this story. This is the story, or the part of the story, for how Casey met his end. So just be prepared, it's going to be a little sad. As Casey mounted or climbed into the cabin and took the throttle in his hand, he heard someone shout, "Casey, you're already more than an hour and a half late." But Casey just smiled and thought to himself, I guess that means I'll just have to go a little bit faster. Do you think it's a good idea to just go really, really fast just because you're running late when you're so behind? No. Casey opened up the throttle and the train plunged into the dark, wet night. So opening the throttle means going full speed ahead. Sim Webb shoveled the coal with all his might and the train chugged on faster and faster. "Casey!" Sim yelled. "You're running too fast!" But Casey said, "Fireman, don't you fret. Keep on knocking at the fire door and don't give up yet. I'm gonna run this train until she leaves the rail, or we make it on time with the southbound mail." So that sounds a little bit different. What was different about that? Yeah. Ezra, I think you heard it. I think I heard you say it. What was different about it? It rhymes, right? That was another portion of the Ballad of Casey Jones. So they drove on. The train gained speed until it was flying faster than the speed of light. Do you think this train could really go faster than the speed of light? No. This is an example of an exaggeration. Then Casey said, "I believe we'll make it through, for the engine is a-steaming better than I ever knew." Casey got the signal that the tracks were clear up ahead. So he was highballing down the tracks, pushing that train just as fast as it would go. Highballing is a train term for everything's clear, go full speed ahead. He was going so fast that it looked like they might even make it on time. But just then, as he squealed around a curve, through the darkness, Casey saw a light up ahead. He knew that a light wasn't supposed to be there. Not on his track. He was told it was clear, right? At that moment, Casey knew There was a broken down freight train stuck on the track just ahead, and he was speeding straight toward it. Casey pulled the brake as hard as he could and yelled to his partner, "Jump, Sim!" "Casey, you come on," replied Sim. "Jump!" Casey shouted, and in the blink of an eye, Sim jumped. But Casey stayed on the train. He knew that he could not stop the train in time, but he knew that he had to slow it down. He knew that if he jumped and let go of the brake, his train would crash at a dangerously high speed. So, Casey pulled on the brake with all his might. A terrible screeching, squealing sound ripped through the darkness, and then came the crash. The trains, they met in the middle of a hill, in a head-on tangle that was bound to spill. He tried to do his duty, the men all said, but Casey Jones, he ended up dead. Poor Casey. When they found him, they said he had one hand still on the brake and one hand tight on the whistle, trying to stop his train as best that he could and give warning to the other train. Casey Jones didn't survive the fateful ride, but he was the only person who died in the crash. Casey's bravery that night saved all of the passengers on both of the trains. And his fireman, Sim. So Sim Webb survived the crash and was very proud of Casey Jones's heroism. Man, that word, say it with me. Heroism. Let's whisper it to the ceiling. Heroism. Growl it to the floor. So Sim held a great deal of admiration for Casey Jones. Do you think Casey Jones was a hero?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. After that, thanks to Sim Webb keeping the story alive, people would tell stories about the brave engineer named Casey Jones. They even made up songs about him. You've already heard some parts of those songs, and here's another part. Casey Jones mounted the cabin. Casey Jones, throttle in his hand. Casey Jones mounted to the cabin, took a trip to the promised land. This is the end of the Ballad of Casey Jones. You can hear the rhyming in there again. Siddhartha, your attention's up here. Right now we're not using any supplies. We're almost there. They say that if you look up into the sky on a clear night and see a flash of light across the sky, well, that might be a shooting star. But then again, it might be Casey Jones roaring across the sky. Chugga, 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 chuggin' on time till the end of time. Do you think this really happened?
No.
This is an example of an
Exaggeration.
All right. That's the end of our story. Can we smell the soup? Blow the soup. Stretch our bodies up. And wiggle our arms out. All right. Now that we've read Casey Jones, we're going to talk about our story and answer some questions. We're going to do this in groups. So go ahead and turn towards your group and listen for the question. The first question is, hands down. Put your hands down. The first question is, were there any characters in this fictional tall tale that were actually real people? Heads together. Were there any characters in this fictional tall tale that were actually real people? Britain, what do you think? Were any of those characters real? Who? Who was real?
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones was real. What about his fireman? Was that guy real? Sim Webb?
Because he told us the story.
Because he was alive to tell the story, right?
I go to the bathroom. Don't turn on the
Leave the door a little cracked so you can come back in.
Sorry, exaggerated, but
Ready to rock?
ready to roll.
All right. I'm looking for Crimson Team number 2. Crimson 2. Were there any real characters in our story? Oh, I'm going to wait till everybody's listening. Amelia wants to share, but everybody's listening. Go ahead.
Casey Jones was real and also was Sim.
I'm really sorry, Amelia, but somebody was talking, and I couldn't hear you. Try that again.
Casey Jones Jones was real and also with Sim.
Casey Jones and Sim. Give a thumbs up if you agree with Amelia. Good, I see lots of thumbs. All right, your next question is, were there any parts that happened in the story that could be real things that happened? Anything that could have really happened? Heads together.
Alright, we got it.
Anything that could really happen in the story?
Train crash. And I haven't said a word once. I've been sitting down.
What number are you?
I have a question.
Are you number 2?
Yeah, I've been number 2, but I haven't been called once. I have a question. My mom walking down to when my brother's testing.
You're going to stay for the lesson. All right, ready to rock? We shouldn't be using any supplies right now. Ready to rock?
Ready to roll.
All right, we're going to go with Lavender Team number 2. We're waiting. What parts in the story could have actually happened?
And waking up in the night.
Yeah, you can get woken up in the middle of the night for your job. For sure.
My dad
He does have to wake up in the middle of the night. What about number 2 from the Cobalt team? Something else that could happen in real life?
someone dying.
In a crash, yeah.
And if my dad's dad died, my dad's dad died.
He did. I'm sorry. Yeah, people can actually die in crashes. It's true. All right, let's look for one more from the Mint team. Mint team number 2. What else could happen in real life?
Driving a train.
You can drive a train. Do people drive trains?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Next question. Heads together. Why was Casey Jones considered to be a remarkable child? What made him a remarkable child? Heads together. Why was Casey Jones so remarkable?
Choo-choo train.
Oh my goodness. 3 feet on the floor. 2 voices off. And 1 peach team number 1. All right, Grace, why was Casey Jones considered a remarkable child? Oh, I'm sorry, Grace. We'll wait a second till everybody's done with the side chatter. Okay, go ahead. All right, do you want to phone a friend, someone else that wants to share out? Go ahead and pick somebody.
That she became a faster, train driver.
So throughout his life, he became a really fast train driver. As a baby, though, when most babies were saying goo-goo, what was Casey Jones saying? Say it if you know it.
Choo-choo.
Choo-choo. That's pretty remarkable, right? All right. Now, let's talk about the exaggeration. Heads together, what parts of the story could not happen in real life? Heads together. Hands to self. Hands to self. Heads together, up on your knees. What could not happen in real life? Are you okay? Okay, sorry. Pretend. Let's talk. What happened in the story that could not happen in real life?
Choo-choo.
Him saying choo-choo as a baby.
Besides Goo-Goo.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
He was faster than any train. And his whistle could go to higher until 5 hits.
Oh, yeah. Do you think he really makes cows make more milk? Or chickens lay more eggs?
No.
No.
And then if you put it on a cold grill, you'll put it just like
Ready to rock? Okay. Show me with your hands. What's the voice level supposed to be in heads together? 1. Some of you were getting so loud that I could hear you all the way across the room. All right. If you are number 3 at your table, please stand up. What's something that could not really happen in the story? We're waiting on a couple people to stand up. Solve that problem if you're missing someone at your table. Okay. All right. Let's start with Sophia. What's something your team talked about that could not really happen?
You can't really go that fast. And if that thing was on the road, it was already. I think he would be able to see it, even though it's dark.
Okay. Right now I have lots of friends that are listening and some friends that are making noises and playing with supplies. I haven't asked you to get anything out yet. Okay. Siddhartha, what's something that could not happen in real life?
A baby driving a train.
A baby driving a train? That seems a bit dangerous, huh? Tatum?
You can't see a train as a star, as a shooting star.
Shooting stars aren't really trains. Genevieve?
Stars are actually meteors.
We'll wait.
Really?
Go ahead, Genevieve.
You can't make a choo-choo sound to make a cow make an extra milk, or chickens like make 1,000 ones, or babies can't make them say choo-choo.
The fastness of his driving didn't make those things happen, huh?
Then the babies can't go to sleep after.
Yeah, they would probably get woken up, huh? All right. Bring it.
Yeah.
We're almost there. Keandre, what did your team talk about?
he can't go faster.
He can't go faster than the speed of light, right? That's an exaggeration. All right, all of these answers have been awesome. All right, now, how do you know that this story is a tall tale? How do you know that this story is a tall tale? Turn and learn. Person next to you. How do you know the story is a tall tale?
I don't have a personality.
I'll come be the person next to you. How do you know this is a tall tale?
Because I just know.
Harry.
Because I know. Because he's a legend.
Yeah, but how do you know it's a tall tale? Is it set in the frontier?
Yeah.
Is it exaggerated? Or is it fiction?
It's a tall tale.
Bring it. How do you know this story is a tall tale? Paisley?
Because the train crash and the isn't real.
The train being a shooting star is not real, and tall tales are fiction. What else are tall tales? They're fiction, but there's a few other things. Grace? Okay, just wait just a moment. Akbar?
Exaggeration.
There's a lot of exaggeration. So it's fiction, it's exaggerated, and it takes place where? Where does it take place? Ella, Ryan, Keandre. Where does it take place?
I forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. It takes place in the frontier. Can you say frontier? Frontier. All right. We're going to pause there because we've done a lot of work today. and I can tell that we're starting to lose our energy. So we'll pick this back up later or tomorrow, okay? Let's just give an oh yeah for all of your great ideas. Oh yeah! Thank you, friends. All right.